Wednesday, June 15th, 2011. The Boston Bruins end a 39-year Cup drought with a win over the Vancouver Canucks in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. The future looked bright, with the core consisting of Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, David Krejci, Zdeno Chara, and Tuukka Rask. They had also just drafted 19-year-old superstar Tyler Seguin, second overall, and had a 9th overall pick in the upcoming draft. A dynasty seemed imminent, and multiple Stanley Cups seemed right on the horizon. This, of course, did not come to pass, and with the recent second-round loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning, people fear this might be it for this Bruins core, and an end of an era might be coming in Boston. We are Putt Prophecies, and this is 8 reasons why the Boston Bruins dynasty failed. Number 8.
The beginning of the 2010-2011 season had high expectations for the Bruins. They were looking to bounce back from being the third team in NHL history to blow a 3-0 series lead, and the only team in NHL history to blow a 3-0 series lead while blowing a 3-0 game lead. The future was bright, however, as they had just drafted Seguin with the 2nd overall pick and had agreed to a 7-year, $28 million contract for their number 1 center, a man who in 4 years with the Bruins had 295 points in 279 games. Sure, he was coming off a bit of a head injury, but he'd be fine. That man was Marc Savard. Unfortunately, he would go on to play 25 games and score 10 points after signing that contract before retiring. The Bruins would of course go on to win the Cup this year, but losing Savard forever had a significant impact on the future. Imagine a world where Matt fucking Cook doesn't exist and the Bruins have Savard, Bergie, and Krejci down the middle for the next 7 years. Unfortunate circumstances, but it's not like they had to resign any other impact players that year. Well, maybe one, Blake Wheeler, who was later signed by the Thrashers for a measly $2.5 million. Fuck Matt Cook.
Number 7. To say that Tim Thomas's career had an unconventional start is an understatement. He was with 8 different minor league teams before he joined the Bruins as a starter, at the age of 32, by the way. Which at that point, he decided to go Super Saiyan and dominate the league for 5 years, winning 2 Vezinas, a Conn Smythe, and Stanley Cup. He was truly dominant, and if he stayed, you gotta think the Bruins would have at least 1 more cup. Unfortunately, this was not the case. One morning, Tim Thomas woke up and said, "Fuck the White House," and oh, I'm done with this hockey thing. And just like that, as mysteriously as he arrived, he was gone. We now know Thomas suffered from post-concussion syndrome, which caused him to hang up the skates. It's almost like blocking vulcanized rubber traveling at ridiculous speeds with your body is bad for your health. Who would have known? Number 6. It was 4-1. A meme that will forever live on in the hearts of Bruins fans and will try to be forgotten by Leafs fans. When the Bruins stormed back from a 4-1 deficit in Game 7 against the Toronto Maple Leafs and won in OT, the team looked poised to make another cup run. And make a run they did. Backed by the city of Boston and the mantra Boston Strong, they steamrolled the Rangers in the second round in 5 games. And then defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins in the conference finals. It was at this point, however, that Boston said, "Fuck it, hold my beer," and promptly had their own collapse. Except this collapse awarded the other team the Stanley Cup. The Bruins were up 2-1 over the Blackhawks with only 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining in the third period. That was until the Blackhawks scored 2 goals in 17 seconds to take the lead and win the cup. If the Bruins just decided to not try and one up the Leafs, they could have forced a Game 7 and maybe won their second cup in 3 years. But the Bruins have to beat the Leafs at everything. including what the Leafs do best, collapses. Number 5. Tyler Seguin, the man rocket himself. Many say the most sexy NHLer alive. In 2013, every girl wanted him. Hell, most guys wanted him. The only person that didn't want him was his GM, Peter Chiarelli. According to Chiarelli, he didn't play Bruins hockey. If scoring goals and looking good while doing it isn't Bruins hockey, I don't want to know what is. Chiarelli later traded him on July 4th, 2013 to the Dallas Stars for the ghost of Louis Eriksson, Riley Smith, and a bag of putts. Riley Smith turned out to be a player, but as soon as he demanded to be paid, the Bruins promptly traded him as well. Seguin has since gone on to have a successful career with the Dallas Stars, centering the top line and amassing 514 points and 538 games played. He would have looked great on a line with David Krejci, but I guess he just wasn't good enough for Bruins hockey. Number 4.
Let's face it, nobody likes Dougie Hamilton. No one really knows exactly why, but he's just a very hard person to be a fan of. Maybe it's just his face. Even if you hate him, one thing you can't deny is the man is a damn good hockey player. Dougie has a career points per game of .6, which is pretty solid, especially when you consider how many of those points usually come at 5-on-5 play. Consider this. Out of Hamilton's 40 points in 47 games this season, only 12 came on the power play. In comparison, Torrey Krug has a career .64 points per game. Krug had 49 points in 61 games this year, with 28 coming on the power play. Krug will be walking away this summer because he thinks he's much better than he actually is, while Dougie is signed for an affordable $5.75 million through next year. This is why trading Dougie for a first rounder in the upcoming draft back in 2015 was a bad decision. More on the 2015 draft later, but for now just know that it really wasn't a good trade, and it really wasn't a good pick.
Number 3.
Speaking of the 2015 draft, this was a doozy. Of all the bad decisions in the past decade, this one might take the cake, if only because it's actually 3 bad decisions made consecutively. This was Don Sweeney's first draft as a GM. As we mentioned, the Bruins traded Dougie earlier that day to Calgary to secure the 15th overall pick. It's now no secret the original intention was to package all 3 picks in order to move up in the draft and select Noah Hanifin, who is ironically now a member of the Flames himself after being traded for Dougie Hamilton. Without being able to move the picks, however, Sweeney was forced to use them himself. At 13th overall, he took Jacob Zabroli. 14th overall, Jake DeBrusk. And 15th overall, with the pick they got for Hamilton, Zach Senyshyn. We won't blame you if you haven't heard of at least 2 of these people before. Maybe you've heard of the 16th overall pick, Matt Barzal, the 17th overall pick, Kyle Connor, or even the 18th overall pick, Thomas Chabot. The 3 players the Bruins drafted that year have a combined 211 NHL games played and 123 points. 203 of those games and 120 points are from DeBrusk alone. The 3 players drafted immediately after them, well, 683 games played and 527 points combined. Is there really any more that needs to be said here?
Number 2.
David Krejci is quite possibly one of the most underrated centers in the league. People often forget how good he is because, quite frankly, he's been buried by his own team. In his first 5 full seasons in the show, Krejci amassed at least 50 points 4 out of 5 years. In the 2011 Cup run, he was the team's leading scorer with 23 points in 25 games. Since the 2012-2013 season, however, Krejci's only gotten 50 points or more in 4 seasons. So what happened? Well, Boston decided that since Krejci is the highest paid player on the team, he definitely should not be built around. Once Horton heard a who in the Stanley Cup final, and Lucic forgot how to skate, Krejci was on his own. He lost his first line role to Bergie and was never given a solid winger again. He wasn't even given the same winger again. Just last season, Krejci had 18 different players play at least 5 minutes alongside him. Oh, and he managed to match his career high 73 points that season. Krejci is 9th all-time in scoring on Boston. Imagine how high he could have flown if he only had some wings.
Number 1. The final blunder in this list once again starts off with a Game 7 win over the Maple Leafs. They're third in less than a decade. They're third. God, my team is a joke. Anyways, with a win over the Leafs and the best team in the league, Tampa Bay Lightning, being banished to the Shadow Realm by Columbus, the Bruins had a clear route back to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 2013. And it was smooth sailing. The Bruins cruised past Columbus and swept the Hurricanes to make their third Stanley Cup Finals appearance in the decade. But then, they met the St. Louis Blues, who just decided, hey, what if we don't play hockey and just try to kill them instead? The Blues took a page out of the Bruins book and played as dirty as possible. The Blues ended up having 2 players suspended in the finals, and honestly, should have had about 6 more. This really screwed the Bruins. The refs refused to call penalties the entire series. None more egregious than the non-call on Tyler Bozak, who tripped Bruins player Noel Acciari, which promptly led to a Blues goal. However, this wasn't the reason the Bruins lost the series, though. The reason the Boston Bruins lost the series was because Brad Marchand decided to casually skate to the bench while the Blues had a 2-on-1, which led to the game-winning goal in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. He just noped out of there and said, "Not my problem." Jesus, Brad, get a hold of yourself. You're coming back with the same team in 2020. I'm sure you'll make another deep run and probably win the cup. Relax, dude.